Ladies and gentlemen, we had a big week in a week where I didn't think it was going to be big. First things first, we had Battlefield 6, where we got the full review.
Dude, talk about the real big news. The thing
that has nothing to do with video.
Trust me, everyone's gonna love it.
The most important thing this week, according to my brain, is apparently that there was a crossover that no one was expecting. And no, we're not talking about Call of Duty, where we got a crossover with American Dad in Call of Duty. No, this is actually a crossover I think most of you are going to want. And that is Oreos and Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are doing a crossover.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're...
Oh, yeah, that looks good.
But there's like there's like other things, like, for example, age gating in video games.
You know what they shouldn't age gate?
Okay, Brain, I know what you're...
Yeah, talk about the jeans.
It also wants me to talk about Sydney Sweeney. Everyone's mad at Sydney Sweeney because she looks really good in jeans and apparently has good jeans as well.
Yeah, she does.
That was controversial because apparently in 2025 we're not allowed to be good looking anymore.
She's allowed.
Now, can I get into what I was gonna say? Yeah. So after this week, Battlefield 6 might have just put the nail in the coffin for Call of Duty, because guess what? There's some controversy there as well. Games are being age gated across the board, as well as being completely removed so you can't play them as well. If you want video game news, you are in the right place. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Weekly Reload. That having an M rating on a video game would be enough to keep it out of the hands of children. After all, that's why ESRB ratings exist to begin with. PEGI 18, you gotta be 18. Mature, you gotta be 17. But no, as it turns out, games are getting more and more strict. This week we found out that Xbox is going to be taking extra measures, and in the UK, starting in 2026, will actually require users to verify their age in order to play. Now, Xbox is taking a lot of flack for this, but assumably PlayStation is going to follow suit, because this is actually a rule that they passed in the UK. And we've been seeing this across the board with various different things, even as last year, Call of Duty, trying to make you verify your age, sometimes in order to chat in game, which is apparently going to become more and more of a common thing. And since it's happening in the UK, it'll probably also start to happen around the world as well.
And just to expand on that a little bit more, Ink Slasher, as someone living in the UK, this whole age verification debate that's ongoing right now is part of a broader bill called the Online Safety Bill that was introduced in the UK in about 2023, so it's not exactly new. But the reason why it's being talked about this week in particular is because some of the first steps were enacted from the bill this week. Now, some of those first steps included things like needing to verify your ID to access some adult sites. So if you're a gooner in the UK, and no, I'm not talking about the Arsenal fans, or maybe I am, you would need to verify your ID to access these adult sites, gambling sites, and any sort of adult restricted social media posts. Now, on surface level, this sounds like a reasonable idea, because the whole point of the bill is to protect children online, you know, to make sure that they're not accessing type of content that a child shouldn't be accessing online. So you just verify your ID, confirm you're not a child, you can access the content, no problem, right? Well, the problems are there if you look at the bill, because first of all, the UK government aren't holding the data themselves. So when you verify your ID, it isn't like the UK government are holding your ID for you. They're passing it off to foreign governments, foreign companies, mainly based in the US. So it is potentially a big breach of data protection laws within the UK. And one of the most controversial parts of the bill is clause 122, which is essentially a spy clause. So back in 2023, when this bill was kind of first introduced, people found out about this spy clause. Amnesty International put out an article about it, basically saying that this spy clause was being mandated to carry out mass surveillance of private digital communications, and it would leave everybody in the UK vulnerable to targeted surveillance campaigns. So it sets a dangerous precedent. And the one key concern about that clause 122 was that it permitted the scanning of private messages. So we would no longer have end-to-end encryption on apps like WhatsApp. That clause basically gives the UK Office of Communications, otherwise known as Ofcom, the ability to issue notices to providers of those messaging services, requiring them to develop and deploy software software that will essentially scan phones for prohibited content. And when you leave prohibited content, when you leave that term prohibited content up to the government, they get to pick and choose what is and what isn't prohibited content. And that's where it becomes a whole bigger debate, because if you have a certain political view that might not be in line with the government's political view, they could judge that prohibited content. You're being censored, your freedom of speech is gone. So this whole debate around age verification is part of this bigger Online Safety Act. And there has been a petition through the UK government from the public to repeal this Online Safety Act. I've previously explained on the channel before that if you submit a petition to the UK government, it needs 100,000 signatures to be considered for debate. This petition was only released a couple of weeks ago, and it already has nearly 500,000 signatures. So this sign is like, you know, it's a pretty unanimous public opinion that this is not a good act, not a good bill. The government's already kind of responded at 10,000 signatures, saying like, yo, basically we have no intentions of repealing this Safety Act. But now that it's on nearly 500,000 signatures, you know, the public pressure is mounting on the government. This is going to be debated in Parliament. What comes of that, I don't know, but it's safe to say that there's definitely a clear public backlash against this bill.
Now, this is all happening at the same time as a community in Australia by the name of Collective Shout got 1,000 signatures. I think it was like 1,067. And because of this, credit card companies like MasterCard and Visa said that they're going to stop letting people use their credit cards on Steam if Steam doesn't take certain adult-only games off their store. Now, just to be clear, some of these adult-only games are ridiculous, with quite literally illegal things in them. That was kind of the problem from the beginning. There was one game that slipped through the cracks, and because of that, there had to be a crackdown on this. Now, the problem with this is where does this censorship actually stop? With a massive company like MasterCard or Visa controlling the money around the world, if you're not allowed to use those on certain things, those things just cease to exist. We've seen things like this happen before with online gambling. If credit cards can't be used on there, it's very difficult to run a company based off of that. So of course, Steam followed suit and removed thousands of games, itch.io removing the majority of their games on their platform. But the question is where does this stop? If all of a sudden, maybe you can do too much in GTA 6, maybe there's too many drugs or too many hookers, or I don't know, Karen's just not happy with the game. If she gets 1,000 signatures, are credit card companies gonna not let you buy that game? It's a question that sounds ridiculous, but in practice is a very real thing. Now, I don't know if you heard about it, but there is a new Horizon game, Horizon Zero Dawn, coming out with a brand new game, a new PlayStation exclusive.
Dude, it's not Horizon.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, that's
a different game.
That's not a.
Yeah, not at all, man.
This is not a Horizon game.
Not even close.
Oh.
They actually pretty much stole the entire thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a Horizon game. This is Light of Mortierum. I might be saying that name wrong, but no, it's not a Horizon game. Even though the main character looks exactly the same, the setting looks exactly the same, the game looks exactly the same. This is made by Tencent, and Tencent is now being sued by Sony because, well, just look at it. They ripped off their game. It's very easy to tell. Even like the gameplay elements of it look almost exactly the same. So Asian Horizon is probably not going to end up seeing the life of day, as Sony is actually suing them for all of the rights to the game. Like if they release it, Sony will make all of the money, which it would make no sense for them to release the game anymore. Now, this gets even more confusing when we found out that in 2023, Tencent actually approached Sony to have a discussion about the rights to Horizon to make a mobile game for it. And then after that, a year later, they found out it was going to be a full release game. Sony still said no, and they still put out the trailer for it. Now, speaking of trailers, the big reveal for this week was Battlefield 6. Now, the week started out with EA announcing that they will not be charging $80 for Battlefield 6. And no one should be surprised. Last week, it was announced that Xbox was not going to be raising their prices anymore after they backtracked on that. So it appears as though Nintendo is going to be the only company sticking with that, at least for now. No. After this, we then got this.
We got the fucking bed!
happened, and essentially it's what all Battlefield fans wanted, but not only that, also what Call of Duty fans have wanted for years. A down-to-earth military shooter with good mechanics, fast-paced gameplay, and big maps with big vehicles. But that wasn't it, because they also announced that they are doing small maps and small modes. Domination, Team Deathmatch, and Squad Deathmatch are all going to be there, and all going to be there not only at launch, but also in the beta. Now, the beta is coming this week. On August the 7th is when the early access beta is going to be happening, and you could either have got that from watching Twitch streams, or if you just applied for Battlefield Labs and maybe you didn't get in, they should be sending you a early access code. And then on the 9th, it's a complete open beta. You do not have to pre-order the game, which people were also happy about. Some other announcements throughout there was Battlefield's Portal is going to be making a return, which is essentially a map editor where you can create your own game modes. The example that they showed was like a kind of version of Only Up. Weapons and classes, they stuck to their grounds where the classes are going to be kind of classic Battlefield classes with support, recon, assault, but in the majority of game modes, you're going to actually be able to use all of your weapons. They will have a mode where certain weapons are only available in certain classes, but they're both going to be there at release. Now, people were wondering, are they going to go the way of Call of Duty, and when they start to release bundles and microtransactions, no longer be a militarized shooter and be a cartoon? As it turns out, they actually addressed that. In an interview, they said it has to be grounded. That is what Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 was. It was all soldiers on the ground. It's going to be like this. I don't think it needs Nicki Minaj. Let's keep it real. Keep it grounded. I can't believe that they actually brought up Nicki Minaj and calling out Modern Warfare 2 in the and oddly, the crazy part about that is not the craziest thing or bundle or skin that Call of Duty has put out. We now have cartoons in the game as well. Anyway, the final announcement that came from Battlefield is the Battle Royale. Now, they only showed a really small snippet of what the map was going to look like, this kind of theme within California, and they said it's going to be coming to Battlefield Labs soon, so people are going to be testing it out, which means there's going to be a bunch of leaks about it. Now, the rumor with this is it's not going to be coming till a month or two after launch, but we don't have an actual date for that one as of yet. And as far as campaign goes, they really didn't show too much of that. They showed like a 15-second trailer with someone talking, but no real in-depth detail of what this campaign is going to look like whatsoever. Now, a lot of people are saying that Battlefield 6 is going to kill Black Ops 7. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I do think it's going to put a big hamper on Black Ops 6. The reason why I say this is because the day that early access to the beta starts for Battlefield 6 is the same day that Season 5 of Black Ops 6 is coming out. I'm not going to go through everything on this roadmap here, but essentially what is coming is in Zombies, you are getting a new map. In Warzone, it appears as though some sort of space laser in an event that is only taking place during the first week is going to hit Stadium, opening it up, which there's an Easter egg to do for that. On top of that, in multiplayer, we are of course getting a bunch of new weapons, a few new maps, including WMD actually making a return. And that is pretty much it for the next 2 months for Call of Duty. So that is why I say Battlefield 6 actually coming out at this time and then having the beta and then launching, by the way, on October 10th, I think is going to put a way bigger damper on Black Ops 6. And then based off of leaks, about a month later, November the 14th is the current leaks date, then Black Ops 7 will be coming out. And I have no idea how they're going to market that game against Battlefield 6 right now. The hype behind that game is massive. Now, moving on to the games that came out this week. The first of which we have, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings or cozy games, maybe like Stardew Valley, we have Tales of the Shire. Now, here's the thing. It is sitting at currently right now a 63% on OpenCritic, with only 31% of critics actually recommending this game. This is one of the worst launches I've seen for a game in a while, and the reason is actually incredibly simple. People just say that the game is boring. The base gameplay loop just really isn't great, and that is all there is to it. You don't make a good game, people are not going to enjoy it. You'd think with a game genre like these cozy games, kind of like Animal Crossing, combining it with a cool IP like Lord of the Rings would make for a great game, but as it turns out, that really wasn't the case. Now, the good news is there was a couple of really good games to come out this week, including Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which if you're into some kind of side-scroller style games, this is definitely one for you, coming in at an 86% on OpenCritic, which is really, really good, as well as a game that I didn't see coming called Dead Take. Now, this one, picture a mystery where you go into a mansion and you have to solve puzzles. I love puzzles. But on top of this, there's this kind of story of the dark side of Hollywood, of a director that has a very dark story. And you're going through his mansion, revealing some literally real life videos that you stumble upon, which all interact with the puzzles. And let's just say this, the game looks absolutely terrifying. This is one that I didn't know was coming, but after seeing it, this is definitely one that I need to check out. And by the way, great reviews as well, sitting at about an 80% on OpenCritic. And as I mentioned, this week is a big week as well. We have Season 5 coming out for Black Ops 6, and the same day we get the early access to the Battlefield 6 open beta, which if you don't have early access to it, then it starts on the 9th. On top of that, in between there on the 8th, we have the launch of Mafia: The Old Country. Now, if you're a fan of Mafia, this one might be for you. They're making a shorter version, less open world style, where it's going to probably be somewhere between 10 to 14 hours to beat this one. Extremely heavily narrative driven. When I think of this kind of thing, it kind of reminds me of actually something I've seen with like Uncharted or something like that. I'm definitely looking forward to this one, but with everything coming out this week, it's going to be hard to fit that one in, but I'm going to do my best. But as per usual, when video games get busy, that's great for the show. And hopefully you guys have been enjoying the weekly reload. If you do, it's always appreciated if you hit that like button and subscribe, turn notifications onto the channel to show that we continuously try to make better and better. And hopefully you guys are enjoying it. So if you want to stay up to date every single week, every single Sunday, we've got a new episode. Thanks for watching the weekly reload.